on CFO on this bottom side here, already forcing CFO back. TP coming through from Peter to make sure he can get down here. And I think they just go for the Dragon. They've got the push in that bottom lane. BDD in a great spot in mid. They don't need much more.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking like they're in an incredible spot.
Ako, nandito na yung isa, imimute ko na to.
He's just going to have to probably give it up. Is moving over there, though. I feel like
Kung
this would be
nag-comment yan,
such a tough approach for the Trundle. I mean, Peter's already in position to try to jump on
Okay,
that.
Dragon Fight.
6 as well. Dredgeline in from Peter. Ginger here. Look and see
Ayos
if you can find
ng
a
gupi.
pillar.
Ayan na,
You don't
nag-comment
really want
na.
to take this fight. You're at a disadvantage in terms of
Oo
all
nga, no?
KT will just secure their first Drake again.
Ulit mo
Around
talaga.
that 7-minute mark. It's really early from there.
And that's what I was going to say, is you're kind of happy if you're CFO
Ayun,
that you
guys.
didn't end up giving a bunch of kills away like you didn't
Mamayang
get
gabi
number one.
mag-HO kay Live, oh.
CFO able to back away,
Tapusin ko
hoping
lang to.
that they can find those fights later on. And you do have things like the Azir and the Kazante, which will scale very well into the game. But at the moment, they just don't have ways to break this control KT have.
Natatakpan ko ata yung sponsor.
Right? He's starting
Yeah.
right from
Bila,
level
guys.
1.
Teka lang.
Even his positioning here around that
Baka
dragon, playing in
mapagalitan
the
tayo.
banana brush, not allowing Junja to ever find an opportunity to contest here realistically, and just going to continue playing towards his strength. He knows you're going to win the 2v2s with BDD, so just keep moving here, keep enabling BDD to play from this position of power. Look at Honkyu, he's just, every time he steps forward, it's command attack, it's dissonance, it's just chunk after chunk after chunk onto Honkyu that is making his life miserable.
I think Peter's just had a really good series so far, really good world so far. You could see signs of it when he was on Nongshim, like there were signs of what he could become, but here on KT really has leveled up. Now in his first international, his first worlds, we're seeing exactly what this guy can do.
And what a lovable player he is. I mean, this is his first
Nakalaro
time,
mo na ba
you
sa
know,
Miyamo sa
flying.
HO,
If you haven't watched some of his interviews, do yourself a favor, go watch some. He is just a treat.
Great hook again onto Junja. Is going to put the subject
Kung 2
down.
months pa nung nagsimula kami. Teka lang ha.
Onto Honkyu as well, but Junja already put in the
Ganda ng
dirt. The
pick-up nila
Troll
sa
King is down.
Trundle.
Rest trying to collapse, but CFO forced away. Should be 3 grubs to KT. No smite for CFO. Doggo's moving across, but actually looks like KT are happy enough just taking the 2. They'll let this grub reset. Cuz can just wait around. It's like, okay, my smite's going to come back up in a couple of seconds' time. KT will get the 3rd.
Yeah, the longer CFO contest here, the more they're losing on that bottom side. That's a wave. That's completely
Sino
gone.
naman na sa inyo?
Junja has just had
sabay kami.
zero chance to have an impact
2
in this
months
game.
na.
He's been
2 months na kami
completely
nag-HO.
shut down by KT.
I mean, it's just a great start again to the fight here from KT. As CFO kind of try to do this late contest, it's similar to the problems they had in the first game, where even when you have the man advantage, they're not actually utilizing it because Junja goes so early. By the time Doggo is moving up, he's already cooked, and then you're just giving Dogtown the ability to push out the wave, deny those minions, take a reset, right back down towards bot lane, and the Sivir is just chilling throughout all of this, and you still walked away with triple grubs.
Yeah, just overall, Casey's early game really isolating the strengths of CFO and making them into weaknesses. Like Junja on this Trundle is behind on farm to a Jarvan. That's just not something you too commonly see in the early game. They haven't been able to find pressure in the lanes. The early lane swap from KT really solid as they were able to make sure that Rest and Doggo were forced behind.
I mean, it's not even 10 minutes. We're 1.6k ahead.
Yep.
Everyone on KT has an advantage. We'll see if Junja can try to make any sort of a gank happen. You just feel like you need to make some sort of a move, but I don't see a world in which Perfect dies here.
Dominus about to come off.
Hirap dalawan tong Rene.
Health on Topos will get the knockback. Ginger looking for the flag and the pillar, in fact.
Pero kayang i-dive.
Not playing the Jarvan. He does get the pillar down with a slice and dice out from Perfect. Now has the Dominus in 1 second's time, and CFO won't look for a further dive.
I was going to say, there's a very slim window that they were looking to play on, and now Perfect is going to be completely fine. Resets, opens, are going to be able to open up back on that top side, and you're not getting any sort of advantages through this. KT continue to move their Jarvan up towards this top side. They can now look to support Perfect as he shows this out. It's just great stuff.
And I mean, you know that that Trundle is up on the top side, and just start looking at all the vision that they're getting, you know, down in this bottom side area. There's so many wards that they're actually placing in the enemy jungle here. They have all the info, right? You knew that Junja was up on the top side. You go in on the bot side, you place all these wards, you have full river control as well. You know, when you're behind, you're saying, jungler, please save me, bail me out, get a kill. But like, they know where he is. They got map packs.
Really nicely played from KT in this early game. For CFO, you do still scale. You've got an Azir. You have a Rakan there for the engage. You've got Subjugate if anyone gets too tanky later on. There's the Emperor's Bite onto BDD, who will flash after the pillar. And that is a summoner down for the KT mid.
And something that could be exploitable. 45 seconds until the Dragon. You could end up looking for him, especially with someone like Highwing. But there we go!
Depth charge! They get the knock-up. The quickness comes out, but it's not in time. claims the kill, calling
Grabe
Captain
yung
Hook,
Nautilus dun
because he's sending Hongq to Neverland.
And he's always there first. Kaiwing that little bit too late and saving his mid laner. And it's Peter that are making things happen for KT.
I agree. I mean, he's just being so proactive here, and now you knock the mid laner down. Kaiwing spent his ult. Cuz is behind Doggo.
Oh, Doggo, is your bark worse than your
Outplay,
bite?
Doggo.
It seems like it flashes
Okay,
away.
nice flash, nice ult.
The killer instinct as well with the
Grabe
TP coming
yun.
out. Doggo able to survive. KT, I mean, they back away. No
Ayun,
one
mag-ADC,
goes below
guys.
half
Kita
HP, but
nyo?
they're happy enough. They get the flash and that killer instinct out.
Yeah, I mean, it's smooth moves from
Kinakal
Doggo to
break
survive
yung
in the
dalawa.
1v3, but at the end of the day, as you say,
Actually,
that's
tatlo yun eh.
teleport, that's flash, that's ult, and your defensive highlight is just staying alive while KT is going to start the dragon and say, good luck fighting us now. Your AD has nothing.
And plates in mid lane because you had to shift the Azir down to that bottom side, which
Pero
means
yun yung punishment.
BDD
Dami
is
na
opening up
buwan
this
spell.
game even further in his favor with that first item already completed. It is still KT winning.
And it's feats. 12 minutes in, 3 objectives to none, 3 kills to none. And you've already got the upgraded boots coming out, the Ionian cooldown boots for
may
BDD
3-0
being
pa.
upgraded. They're going to set up around this red buff.
Something
Do
safe.
CFO
Oh.
Don't do it,
know?
Junja.
No.
Oh, Junja.
Patay ito.
He starts up the red there.
Ayan na.
The hook and Junja in the
Ang laro
jungle
yan,
sent to an
full
early
PC.
grave. A fourth for KT. They
Legends.
ruled the rift.
I mean, this is just the vision
Mobile
playing off of that. They have
Legends,
been
Advanced
controlling
Server.
this jungle so incredibly well. And now that they have the lead, they're just snowballing it out of control.
They've got
Peter's
depth charge here.
Exactly, he's just going to go right down. He's going to get
stop the
stopped. You just flag it.
Flag comes out. Peter will have another hook. He's just standing there. He's like, what are you going to do, Hongq? Depth charge down. They'll look
Yung
for
naman yung
the
denied.
Cataclysm alongside BDD.
Wala
and
siyang
it's a
magagawa dun.
shellacking for KT. They're shucking these oysters everywhere on the map.
I mean, it's picture perfect, but it's an ugly picture if you're a CFO fan because KT are making game 2 look like an absolute breeze, and it's all been around this play with BDD. Constantly going towards mid lane, getting involved with him, unlocking their player here to move around the map to really
Parang
get
nawala-
control. BDD has
Parang
been
nag-iba
such a
laro
star
ng
for this
CFO ngayon,
team
guys,
all
no?
year long.
Rest and Doggo looking for this flash away from perfect
Patay.
TP in from KT, and they just don't have the damage to work their way through that Renekton.
Great flash from Perfect,
Iba laro ng
predicting that
CFO
Rest
ngayon.
was going to look for that Q slow, and maybe that gives the Kai'Sa enough time
Hindi
to
sila
get
yung
the auto attacks down to take
nakikita
down
nating
the Renekton.
aggressive.
But again, it's CFO hoping and praying that they can make these plays work, but KT happy to match. You still get BDD pushing in that wave. No one going to be able to answer for it. You're losing out on the map. Duck down, pushing in the mid lane. It's KT getting map presence constantly.
Exactly. And I mean, when you're playing against a team like this that has that much wave clear, that much pressure, and you're behind, you have to overload one side to try to make a play, but you're always going to pay for it, right? Because Sivir is just infinitely one-shotting the waves with Essence Reaver. BDD is going to one-shot any waves that come his way, and they have triple grubs. So you lose so much tower damage every single time you have one of these failed plays. And I mean, they did get the flash out perfect. That's nice, but they didn't even force the ult.
But it's so well orchestrated by KT. It's knock out Junja by kicking out one of the legs, then go for the lanes because Junja's then behind. And it makes it so difficult for CFO to actually answer for any of these plays because they are always at a man disadvantage.
And who is it for KT that's getting fed out of this early game? It's BDD in that mid lane. 2K ahead has been involved in every
Oh, no
single
one
kill.
saw
The
it.
synergy between him and Peter through this game, through this Worlds, has been absolutely top-notch. This guy is popping off, and for so long, I think people will have looked at BDD as one of the greats, but not quite. Perhaps at this Worlds, he can really take that step to the upper echelons.
Yeah, the only man on this team who's been to that semi-final, hoping to take the rest of them there and the organization for the first time, but it's Rest who needs to get out of here.
Exhausted there for a second. Spell Shield coming out from Doc Dam and Tofo Q3 going wide, but it's just going to be another tower for KT. They know they can force Rest away, take the turret, their second of the game, and CFO have been able to stop the perfect game from happening by taking a tower of their own. But apart from that, KT very much on their way to a clean sweep of this one.
Yeah, I mean, objective bounties have spawned. You kind of hope that you can do some cross-mapping, you know, pick up some gold to come back in. But when objective bounties are spawning at 15 minutes, you know it is going to be an uphill battle, to say the very least.
Yeah, and you already highlighted the wave clear. It's a Rift Herald now as well. So you were already losing on the map. Now you doubly lose on the map, but Perfect might lose this.
Pillar coming out. There's a Killer Instinct as well with the quickness. Everything invested. Perfect falls the
Patay.
shutdown to Doggo. A pick for CFO and a small
Yung
breath
minamatay.
of life into this game.
Imperfect.
game
Not
sa
going to
ano.
be able to get away with that one. We'll see what they can get off the back of it here. Heading down towards this bot side, seeing if they can make a play or at the very least control some vision. They still have to have all of the kind of vision past that line of scrimmage, in the mid lane and through that river. So there's no more vision in their jungle. They really are hoping to not give up a super early soul point. When you're this kind of a dive comp, yes, there is an Azir, yes, you have some damage there, but you really do not want to be giving over a Mountain Soul.
They did get the pick, but Junja went to do his Krugs, and you don't really get that push in mid because both Hongq and Kaiwing went to try and set up that vision on the bottom side. So now it's KT who are able to answer back because of that reset.
It's the same setup again. Rest is on his way across on the hunt, popped by Dogdem as they look for the chase. Depth charge onto Hongq, Emperor's Divide, dodged by the cannons. Hongq not in the redemption. In time, CFO lose their mid laner and now might lose the rest as they get chased down by KT. Junja on the flank, a 4v4 begins to erupt. It's perfect, not TPing down yet. The redemption
Nakita
for
nyo dodge
KT
ng
will drop them
Jarvan sa
up.
ulti ng
In the
Azir.
end, they just back away.
CFO
Perfectionist,
are
no?
asking why are KT better, and it's just cause they hop over the Emperor's Divide, sets
Kailan
up
kaya magkakagat
beautifully,
tong Wild
and
Rift?
now with the
Sobrang
dragon there
labo,
for them as
boss.
well, that's 3 dragons to
Malabo
their
pa sa
name.
malabo.
That was beautiful from Cuz. Walks in.
Siguro ang
and he's
pinaka-close
basically
lang
daring
sa
you to
Worlds yung
dash
ano.
away, right? He's holding the
I mean,
cataclysm,
ang
he's holding the
pinaka-close
flag
lang na
direct.
tournament
He's
na
ready to punish at a
ganito
moment's
sa
notice.
Wild Rift
Perfect reaction
dati.
time there to immune
Yung smash
that
tsaka
Azir ultimate.
ano.
They win out in the 4v4. Perfect doesn't have to even
Smash
bother
tsaka-
teleporting down. They get
Ano
the
yung
dragon
isa?
there at soul
Nakalimutan.
point.
WCS.
18 minutes into the game. They
After
have
nun, wala na.
really accelerated the
Smash
game
naman
to a
ulit ngayon,
ridiculous
pero-
degree. When you look at a composition like this, that's
For
already on a
community
simmer,
na
you're
lang siya,
thinking, all right, they're going to play it
creators.
slow, they're going to play it measured, but they've just been dominating. They realize their position in the game, so they're going to keep their foot on the gas and just continue to press.
Just keep that pressure up. CFO looking for those objective bounties you talked about as they were trying to find any gold they can on the map. Doggo is at 2 items for going the upgraded boots. Instead, it just has those slightly magical footwear. The only player with a gold lead for CFO. And if you're going to put a gold lead on anyone, Doggo, so far this tournament's been the guy you want to put it on. Constantly impressing, but it's going to be a very long road back for CFO in this game.
You hope that they can find those moments, though. Again, like, this is the heart and soul of a region, a team that has defied expectations and made a name for themselves. And although they haven't been able to show what they're capable of in this series thus far, I think CFO have really shown that they are a team that you need to keep your eyes on at Worlds 2025 and honestly at MSIs as well. Like, this is a roster that has continued to impress on an international stage.
Yeah, I mean, some of the teams that weren't giving them respect have already been sent home. Peter's looking for another play.
Depth charge down onto Junja the Pillar. Does not really going to stop anyone getting in, but a good quickness out from Kaiwing distracts the rest of KT. Kaiwing trying to dash back, but he's taken out by Dogdam. 1 down so far. KT can advance. Oh, a great hook again! Peter, what are you? He constantly finds the picks, and now CFO picked apart by this perfect Nautilus. Perfect diving in for a Ruthless Predator. The Rift Herald charge coming down. Will they look for a tier 3? Cuz begins to disengage, but they'll just get the charge in, and then Peter should be able to dredge line his way away.
And they can even go right back to the Otacon that's about to spawn here if they really want to put that pressure on. They're going to take away the jungle camps. They get the charge on another tower. It's 6k up, and yeah, they're just going to do Otacon on spawn again, because why not? Hongq has no teleport, and he's still dead.
He goes for it again. Rest steps in front of the bullet for Doggo. The knock back onto Peter, though, now slammed into the wall, and the rest of KT unable to respond in time. Doggo diving onto the backline, and Killer Instinct flashes the barrier. Doggo gets the shutdown. Cards perfect, and BDD still alive. Not much mana on BDD, though. They'll still be able to kill off Kaiwing. Hongq and Junja need to do it all. But Hongq doesn't have the damage, only an Ashes and a faded Ashes at his back. KT back away.
Again, Doggo risked it all for CFO, but it falls short. KT are able to continue keeping that pressure up in the fight, and it's CFO who have to back away.
I mean, Doggo is able to find a pretty good play here. You know, again, your opportunities are going to be few and far between. And this hook gets blocked there by Rest. So they say, you know what, we have to try to take advantage of the moment. It's another shutdown. And then Doggo just goes so aggressive, flashing to the side there to try to avoid some of the damage from BDD. Does get a second shutdown for himself. But the problem is, BDD is 3,000 gold ahead, and he is still alive, still fighting there. So even with Dogdam falling, I mean, just look at the mid-jungle advantage. It's ridiculous.
4.9k between the two. The Otacon has been begun by KT.
O, tignan na
CFO
kamit
still
pala
looking
ako.
good. They have the Empress Divide if they can find a
Sabi
way
ko
into
guys,
this
itong
fight, but
KT, Sinusuportahan ko to dati. Yung CFO naman, teka lang, nagkakalash.
All their engaged tools have been used. Cuz diving onto that backline. Cuz taken out by Doggo. Perfect looking for it as well. But this dog who let him out, Perfect, shows him where the cage is at. Puts him back to the fountain. Only Honku left alive. As Perfect, BDD, Dogdam and Peter collapse.
Ito naman CFO, parang ito yung manok natin. Kasi galing Asia to Makati. Asia qualifier.
And CFO, they look confused. They look like
Pero
they don't
Taiwan
know how
team
they're
sila.
supposed to crack this.
I mean, I don't think you're cracking this game, man. It is an
Sila yung nag-champion
absolute
sa ano,
stomp here as KT again.
sa
They're just at such an advantageous position.
Asia Pacific.
Perfect just go straight in on the Nautilus. On the other side, it's Honkyu and Kaiway
Taiwan
trying to
CFO,
find this
guys.
flanking angle, but they use the redemption for the reset.
Lumaban
and
din
then
yung
just
team
send
natin doon,
Cuz
yung
in.
PH.
A
Kaso
great
hindi
stun,
pinalad.
the CC there to allow Doggo to finish him off, but Perfect is just too
Di tayo
strong. No one's
nakatagos.
there to actually peel for Doggo. And again, there's just too many threats on the KT side. They're too rich.
Yeah, no killer instinct for Doggo as well to try and escape
Hindi
away.
bago lang ako
So
sa
gets
CFO
caught by
ngayon.
the prop.
Iba-iba laro nila ngayon.
It's his swamp right now. KT. The Dragon is up in
Parang
20
ano na lang
seconds.
sila,
This is
kalmado
Mountain
na lang.
Soul, and it's already been impossible for CFO to break KT.
I mean, this is going to be the last gasp you have to kind of think for CFO. It's win this fight. It's stop this soul from going over. Or you
Ang
are
nakikita
cooked,
ko nung
but
gigigil
KT
manalo
is ready.
dito.
You know, they already have so
Doggo
much
yung
power
Kai'Sa
here.
nila
Red
eh.
buff and blue buff just got picked up.
Di na ganun
They are
ka-aggressive.
going to
Oo nga
be
yun, no?
waiting
Nag-iba
for
laro nila.
CFO to go forward.
Ang nakikita kong aggressive lang si ano,
Doggo, the only one
Doggo.
really with two items that matter.
Tignan nyo,
for
sumasabay siya sa
CFO.
KT.
As they try and step into the darkness, into that fog of war. The Dragon resets, Rest using his health bar to try and gain purchase in the river right now, but KT keeping them at arm's length. Rest still stepping forward. The Drake how low, 7k. Kaiwing flashes for BDD, lands the
Huli yung
quickness and the
Oriana.
grand entrance, but with a flash away from BDD, Perfect dives in, and the chase goes in from Cuz. Cataclysm onto the back.
Naiilang yung Kai'Sa mag-create. Ang daming ano, marang.
But
Yun, no?
now with the redemption, they are topped up to full. For a moment, CFO looked like they may have
Nakawawa
found the fight,
talaga.
but the wallets are too damn heavy.
Nakikita ko siya, gusto niya mag-create,
Find
kaso
the fight for
naiilang
Oasis
siya sa
and
ano,
walk it down mid.
sa mga umarap.
posed the question, but
Kay
BDD
Jarvan
had the
Nautilus,
answer as he has
tas Renick.
every single time this game. 100% KP for BDD, 6-0 and 15 on the Oriana as they're looking for one of the fastest games at Worlds.
Sub 25 minute, the prize for them. This roller coaster keeps on ratcheting
Daming
up.
tang puro CC.
KT in
Yan yung mga nightmare na mga ano eh, Kai'Sa. Yung mga ganyang kalaban.
Looks at BDD, but the hearts were won by Peter. KT one game away
Grabe
from the
BDD, no?
promised
Pero
land.
pinakapalo dito si Cuz. Yung jungle, tsaka yung support.
Again, control from start to finish.
Ganda ng ikot nila. Kaya
Is there an
nakahinga
answer
si BDD.
available?
Excited up there.
They do.
I heard you, and I'm right above you, so Air turning around and glaring at them right now.
I will not hesitate to jump on those casters, guys, so beware. KT roster is one game away from reaching the very first semifinals in the history of the organization. And I think about this roster, Emily, at the beginning of the year, the hope, the struggles that they went through. Is it so far the best result that they have? And they're about to do it one game away once again from this result.
And what a debut for Peter. Like, what an international debut for Peter, right? Because he was actually replaced earlier this year for a time, came back onto the roster, and he's been massive in these early game plans. I know they're calling out BDD was obviously kind of the star of their team fights throughout this, but it was Peter's Nautilus from level 1 setting up this KT early game. Absolutely great game from him.
He has been ramping up
Ano ba yan?
all year,
Nawawala
but he's
yung bike.
clearly attained his final form here at Worlds in our
Sabi ko,
HyperX
pag
reflex
nagarap yung
replay, Kobe.
Genji at KT,
This game was not close. So,
gusto ko manalo
let's go
KT.
back, as you
Kaso,
say in our
masyadong
replay,
malakas
to a time
Genji
when it
ngayon.
was close. You know, at the very beginning of the game. This is before the 7 deaths that ended up
Eh no,
happening
tingnan nyo
to
si Peter
Hongyu.
umikot,
The
guys.
very first
Level
is
2.
opened up from
Nasa
Peter's
mid.
roam from bottom lane. The level
Tingnan
2
nyo, ah.
roam. Because
Tingnan nyo yung
Honkyu's
Q-flash
doing so
niya.
aggressively with BDD, they make the
Q-flash.
call. Peter, invest and just
Ito
go for
turn.
the hook. You trade flashes with Hongyu. Then Hongyu
Ito na yung
gets
kanina.
his confidence. He steps
Ba
back
yun?
up. So the heal
Okay.
move speed, he dodges a second
May
hook.
emote
He
po.
emotes because
makulit
he's
ka.
just thinking about the Peter danger, and he wasn't thinking
Naghahanit
about,
si
oh, I have no
BDD.
flash and BDD
E-emote ka
does.
pa.
So Peter just takes away all the cooldowns from the Azir first, and then BDD can come in and get that
Nakampante
first blood,
masyado
which you
yung
know
ano,
turned
bot.
into many more bloods.
Wala na siya
Yeah,
flash eh,
that
di na
set
siya
up
bumalik
BDD
eh.
for his 100% co-participation. As we're just gonna
Ito
roll
pa yung
through
hook niya.
and
Ayun oh,
see this
ganda ng
great
pick up oh.
Peter highlight reel, because his hooks were so clutch. Before that mid lane play that we just went
Bago
over,
dumating
Kobe,
yung kampi,
he'd already
nakakapita
helped
sila.
through
Ayan
the
pa.
Nautilus level 1 below Junja's flash. So once
Yan
again,
tumaba si
Junja
BDD
could
dahil
not
sa
be as
Nautilus.
aggressive as he would have
Kaya
wanted
sabi
to
ko sa
be
inyo,
in
ang
this
ganda ng
early
laro ng
game,
Nautilus
right?
sa game na to.
And the thing I really love, as we still see Peter kind of beasting it on this Nautilus, is that KT in both game 1
Yan
and
yung
game
mga
2
dream
have
na mga
come in
Oriana
with
player eh.
clear
Pag ganyan
early
maglaro
game
yung kampi.
plans, right? Like, we're highlighting Peter's
Para
Nautilus here
mag-Oriana
because
yan eh.
he was so huge in resetting that lane for BDD, really getting BDD ahead. But the fact that KT have come in now with these 2 drafts, have really wanted to take over the early game, is a great sign based on what we've seen from this team previously in Split 3.
And that's a crucial point here. We were expecting KT to get better at those stages of the game, but on the other side, for CFO, they had a fantastic year. They kept on surprising. The wall stage is the moment teams make or break, and right now, Kobe, it looks like it's going to be complicated for them. Do you see a comeback potential
No,
for
I
CFO?
don't. You talk about breaking. That game was not close in any sense of the word. They have to completely do everything different from that game. You have to try and at least get one winning lane. You have to play better in skirmishes, better in team fights, because KT just absolutely blasted them. They're making this look like a very unfair
Parang
quarterfinals.
3-0 na to.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is they need to get Jinja involved early, right? Like, Jinja is such an engine for this team. He's the best jungler in the LCP. He
Pag
has
ganun pa rin
this
maglaro yung
consistent
CFO,
titles,
passive, game 1, game 2,
record, right, over there.
feel
So
ko
I think
mahirap.
for me, it's all about, can Jinja get involved, get some pushing lanes, like you said, and move CFO forward.
Yung
It has
3-0 to
been
pag ganun
the
pa rin
most
laro nila.
one-sided series that I did not expect, honestly, to see here today. KT Roster one game away from doing the very first semifinal in the history of the organization. Let's see if they can take it right after the break.
Q goes in, BDD pops a stopwatch, Anakin secured, Kaiwing with a good quickness finds 2 with a knock-up, but CFO now need to disengage. All their engage tools have been used, Cuz diving onto that backline, Cuz taken out by Doggo, Perfect looking for it as well, but this dog who let him out, Perfect, shows him where the cage is at, puts him back to the fountain, only Honkyu left alive, as Perfect, BDD, Knockdown and Peter collapsed. It's an ace for KT.
There's nowhere to run. There is nowhere to hide. KT are taking everything.
Ayun guys. Game 3 na tayo. Feel ko 3-0 to. Pag na 3-0 to, mag-wild trip ako.
When I was a player,
Mga dalawang game.
if I was to like make a misplay, maybe it's my mouse, maybe it's my armrest, something feels wrong. If you were at home, you wouldn't do that.
The Infinite Precision Armrest is part of the larger Circulab on Stage standard initiative aimed to bring your home or training room settings to the tournament stage.
이제 저뿐만 아니라 다른 선수들도 세팅을 더 원활하게 할 것 같고
가장 편안할 때 더 강력한 플레이가 자연스럽게 나옵니다.
Nangyari sa Los Ratones, parang disband na ata sila eh. Hindi kasi ako updated eh. Or chilling sila ngayon kasi may word. Para lahat ng tao dito nanonood.
Red Bull gives you wings.
The greatest players in the world are here.
They can just burn this one down. Oh my god, he'll forward by 9!
You are going to see them like you've never seen them before. It will as the Arcane Storm doing so much work, and Genji, they are just going to ace them.
누구 만나도 이길 수 있다는 자신감 정도로만 생각하고 있습니다.
Genji, the EWC winners.
Nakakamiss din KT 2023, malos lang JD at tapat. Oo, naalala ko yun. Lakas kasi ng JD last year. Ngayon year, yung meta, feeling ko, hindi bagay sa playstyle ng, ng BLG din eh. So guys, iba nalaglag BLG ngayon. Di bagay kay Bin yung meta ngayon na puro tank lang yung pinipick sa top.
I just landed in China. Let's go.
Kasi laro ni Bin guys, carry champions.
Play the local way. Pay your way.
Have you ever seen the Great Wall at night?
Play the local way. Pay your way.
Ay. Teka nga, dito nga tayo Palito nga
Red Bull gives you wings.
Yeah, guys. Ano oras next? 2 minutes? Pwede pa kayo kumuha ng pagkain nyo, guys. 2 minutes yung next. Tignan ko nga last laro ng Ratones. Los Ratones. Ano nangyari sa kanila? Ba na ba to? Wala na pala si guys, si Reckless. Babakasyon siya ng 2 weeks. Bakasyon nga sila ngayon guys. Tuloy pa rin yung Ratones. Lalaro daw sila sa LEC 2026. So ano nga siya? Tagal-tagal pa to. Baka January pa yung balik ng Ratones guys. Swift ata Swift to? Feeling ko din, Swift. Pag passive pa rin laro na itong CFO, di sila mananalo dito. Sobrang passive nila. Parang hinihintay na lang nila matalo. Ewan ko, nanibago ako sa laro nila eh. Yung mga last games nila, di sila ganyan maglaro eh. Ganap lagi ng ganap eh. Sayang lang kasi ito pa naman yung pambato natin guys. Galing Asia team kasi ito eh. wala confidence sila sa team fight. Oo.
안녕하세요. 처음으로 월즈에 진출한
Di mo rin sila masisi. Lakas din kasi na ano ngayon guys, KT. Kaya feeling ko nabigla sila.
월즈 진출이 제
Thoughts mo kay boss? Pang pro play content?
실패할 때마다 다음 연도에는 내가 저 자리에, 다음 연도에는 내가 그랬던 것 같습니다. 항상 꿈에 그리던 무대였는데 그
이 boss
꿈을
naman,
이번 연도에 밟게 되어서 행복한
okay
것
naman
같습니다.
mechanics niya.
1차적인 목표를
Ang
이뤘다고
napapansin ko lang sa mga
생각해서
laro nila,
많이 기쁘고요.
ano,
그렇지만 여기에 나온 팀들은
so guys
모두
ang
저력이 있는
napapansin ko
팀을
sa laro
선택해서
nila boss,
잘 준비해서 월드 우승까지 할 수 있도록
ang
하겠습니다.
laging
좋을
ang
때나
laging
힘들
bumubuhat sa
때나
kanila yung kampe niya.
한결같이 그 자리에서 묵묵히
Kumbaga ano lang
응원해주신
siya, nanggugulo
팬분들께
lang lagi.
진심으로 감사드립니다. 바이바이.
Ganun. Parang siya yung taga-inis ng kalaban, tas yung kampe niya yung
Already 2-0 up.
taga-gawa ng
Fastest
play.
game at Worlds so far this year is the second game of the series. For CFO, it is a mountain to climb, and unfortunately, they don't have a roller coaster to carry them up it, unlike KT, who keep going up, up, up.
BDD is looking like he's sitting on the top of the mountain, rolling down boulders at him. I mean, this is looking tough. Because last game was looking like KT took over so fast, and BDD got monstrously ahead. I feel like you are down 2-0.
Ito na.
It is at Worlds. It is
Drafting na,
potentially
guys.
your last game. I want to see them get a little bit spicy. You're on red side. I think that means we're going to get some interesting counter picks. This is the time, if you have any pocket picks, you've got to do something, because standard is just not even close to working.
Yeah, no? Binaban nila yung mga ano, kung saan sila malakas.
How funky can you get? And whatever Fodian game they need to play, it's going to be a very difficult one in this to try and reach the top of that mountain. As KT,
Wait
once
lang.
more, going to see if they can push it to that game number 3.
I mean, Rest has played some weird stuff. You know, when you look at, all of the games that he played throughout this year, he has an Udyr, a Karma, a Shyvana, a Shen. Like, he's got Nidalee. He's got all kinds of random picks up there. So, I don't know if he's going to see the opportunity for it. But to me, when you are looking like you are kind of playing a similar game as your opponents, but just a much worse version of that, it is time to kind of just break the chains, man. Go crazy. Do whatever you can think of, because you're not going to win this series if you can't really throw a wrench in the gears.
And if it is your last game at Worlds 2025, try and just
Because
go out and
guys,
show
malakas
what your
din to
region
kasi
was, what
dating
you're capable of
T1
doing.
to eh.
Even Kaiwing having like pockets picked
Malas
like
lang
fresh
sila
as well.
dati.
Show over the course of this year what you were capable of. And if maybe, just maybe, you can take down KT, push yourself to that game 4 in these picks, maybe that opens up that wrench in the works that you need.
Look, I'm not saying it would be the most KT thing to go 2-0 up, get everyone excited, and then lose in a reverse sweep, but that would be the most KT thing I've ever heard of, as we see the Ambessa banned away by CFO and an immediate Sion pick here for Perfect.
Yeah, Sion is up, and I feel like you have got to have some sort of a plan. I have been kind of preaching, I'm a big fan of Cho'Gath as a potential answer. Mord has been the answer of the tournament. So I was thinking something like that, or even if you want to go crazy, go like Fiora, I would be down for whatever. Whatever you think is the best counter, bring it out. Mord, I think, definitely can
Yun,
work.
naku, yan
But the
yung
problem with
Sion.
Sion is always that not only are you so resilient,
Mord
but
eh.
all of your basic abilities are
Okay.
AoE wave clear. So it's really hard to actually create a meaningful advantage, and Rek'Sai to me is just a much worse Sion. So I don't feel like this is it, unless they have something else cooking. I truly do not understand leaving Sion up.
It is also taking the Rek'Sai in this rotation.
Yung game 2 par ang konti ng word sa Cepo kaya sobrang kakabal nila kasi wala sila idea. Oo nga eh.
Spicy for Kaiwing in that bottom side of the map. So I am
Galing din
curious
kasi
what the next rotation is.
mag-teams
I
ng
imagine
word
it will
ng
be a
ano
jungle
eh.
pick for Junja, but
Ng kalaban eh.
actually going to be locked in.
Ikas tsaka si
Just Caitlyn Karma or something.
Peter.
Just go for Prio bot lane and then play beef tanks in front of it. Honku loves a good Swain game, so maybe you just play beefy
Top
front
2
line with
run, by the
an
way.
carry that can do the damage from the back line. Caitlyn, not
Ian.
a hyperscaler, but really good at sieging and does have a lot of damage in the late game.
The only thing I'm worried about, though, is that KT have been able to find success mid and early game. So if you're hitting this trough,
Hello
where
kay Ino,
Caitlyn
thank you sa gift.
hasn't really hit her power spike, that's really where you are going to struggle in this game if you don't have something to facilitate that kind of mid-game point.
And immediately KT answer with the Alistair Ziggs. They know that they are going to get pushed in that bot lane, but as soon as the Ziggs gets towards that forbidden chapter, he can actually just wave clear for days. Chuck out the explosive minefield, a couple of bouncing bombs. The wave's gone before you can actually siege effectively.
And we do know it can be a
APC
flex, right?
sila
It's gonna
guys,
just be bot
6.
lane is just, we're just going to actually just wave clear infinitely and try to make the life difficult of this Caitlyn. Bard, would be one of these strong laners here, especially early game against Alistar, who is a pretty pitiful laner that would allow Kaiwing to have both some prio in the lane and also get out on the maps and potentially, create a little bit of havoc, which could be beneficial for them.
I do like that
Nasa niya
swapping the Ziggs down into that
emote
bottom
ng
side, because
Cepo.
honestly, I think opening
Nasa
up like an
game
AD
2,
mid laner for BDD
yung
could also be
Oriana
clutch
sa
here.
mid.
We've seen the Yone come out a couple of times, and if you want to try and have that access to backline, that can work out. Caitlyn, though, of course, going to be very strong when it comes towards both avoiding
Alam mo,
some of that pressure.
feeling ko
and also
kampante
just
na lang
clearing
sila
out these
ngayon
mid
eh.
waves. So if you opt into
Parang
this
wala
kind
na
of
silang
one-four
pake.
split push, it may be easier for CFO to manage.
Nilalaro na lang nila. Kasi ang layo na rin ng narating nila quarterfinals.
Played it, but of course he could. But I am just kind of assuming that they're saying, you know what, you're going for Caitlyn. If that's going to be your big swing, we're just
Pero
going to
malay natin, wala lang sila almusal ngayon. Kaya iba yung ano nila. Stay style.
Like the Caitlyn. Alistar's going to be flying in, Sion's going to be flying in, Zig's ult is going to go on your head, and it becomes so hard to actually play out the fight from there. And I am getting a little bit worried if there's not any more spice than this for the CFO draft.
Yeah, especially when you're already from CFO trying to ban away more of that dive, because they kind of realize like something like a Vi here probably going to be the last ban. Actually, the Yone, because Vi's banned on that first rotation, because it is a case of just more of that backline pressure that you're trying to nullify, and Yone taken away. Like, it's very difficult for CFO given the current circumstance.
I do really like the Sylas ban here. You know, it is something that would give them some aggression. It's also Alistar, which is one of those ultimates that are so key.
Big respect to Honku as well, because in the finals against Team Secret Wales, he outplayed Histo in the Sylas versus Zed 1v1. It was, the Zed was so fed, and it was like kind of his Faker versus Ryu moment, his moment that he really announced himself as the best player in the LCP. So now, getting with the Sylas, getting with the Pantheon, you can see KT saying, okay, we'll make sure that you can't be Giga tanky by stealing the Alistar ult, but we'll also make sure you don't have long-range follow-up engage to something like a Tempered Fate.
Is it? I mean, you could obviously flex backside to jungle if you really want, but
Kindred, seryoso ka?
Just Kindred?
Kindred would be fun. I mean, Kindred to me can be one of those really powerful scaling picks. And you are
Pipigan ng Xin Xiao to
pag
ano. Kindred to, ayun.
I was so excited.
Corner.
Standard kind of at the end of the day, so I'm not really loving.
Kala ko magki-Kindred eh. Pipigan ng Xin Xiao yan ng ano, KT. Kahit last year kaya sila balagbagin. Ay, kahit last ng LCK teams. Kaya naman nila LCK, tinalo nga nila yung T1 eh. Ang problema lang ngayon, nag-iba laro ng CFO guys. Zoe.
I think it might be time to go to sleep
for ng pick
CFO.
nyo.
I was gonna say, if you want to play against your icon,
Ego.
he picks at the Zoe. Honku, what have you got? You've been watching this man for years, and now it's his signature pick that you have to find a win over.
Signature pick ni BDD guys, Zoe.
And there's so much poke. I will say, consistent damage, very low for the KT side. Your damage is Ziggs and Zoe, right? Yeah, there is the Viego,
Match
but
point na
Viego's not
KT,
gonna work through a tank or anything like that. So it is
parang hirap ng drop
it is
nila.
comfort, but it is also not the most
drop.
easy
Oo
comp
nga
to
eh, parang
pilot.
ganun eh.
That being said, if you are first to the objective as KT, trying to walk in through Ziggs poke and
Kasi
Zoe poke
sinong
is gonna be an
sisilip sa kanila
absolute
sa
nightmare.
objective?
And CFO at the end of the day kind
Corner
of just
lang.
went with like a couple meatballs and some scaling carries, and they're going pretty standard here.
I feel that we actually, I'm not 100%
Kulang
sure
sila
on
sa
it, but I'm
AoE.
pretty sure KT played
AoE
stuff
lang
when they
nila
beat
ano,
Genji.
Huawei.
With the Zoe, with the bubbles, and then the Viego coming across. I might be
Caitlyn.
misremembering, but I remember it was about the initial poke into then the Viego coming out. But I could be misremembering it as we see the first Zoe
Estama na 3-0.
For KT,
Tapos
they have
3-1 na
the initial
din
burst
Andy.
damage, and then they have the Viego looking for those
Tignan
resets.
natin.
For CFO,
Ang hirap ng drop eh.
Wei does a lot of damage as the game goes on. They've got a bit of a
Grabe
tanky bot
damage
line,
ng KT
so
guys oh.
perhaps a
Tatlong
range
damage,
comp
dalawang
mostly.
ay
I
dalawang
think
tank.
what you can do as CFO though is fish for some nice picks, right? Like Zoe,
Pero
very
tignan
strong
natin.
when ahead, but if you start to fall behind and you're able to look for these like Bard ultimates to lock her down after she comes back out of the portal, like they are
Kailangan
very
dito yung
easy plays to
CFO,
make,
walang
and maybe
mamamatay
that's
agad
how
sa
you can
kanila
try
sa
and swing
clash.
it. But again, if you just have this hard focus from KT on shutting down Junja, denying them from getting any sort of leads in the early
Kakahiving.
game, you can look to
Lumaki na
snowball.
hula.
Hey, we're just gonna move the six around and try and take towers.
Kanina, ano siya eh, ito.
Let's get on to
Nakampante.
Summer's Rift for the
Wala na
third
siyang flash,
and
bumalik
possibly
pa.
the final game of this second
Umi-emote pa.
quarterfinal.
Nagalit
Must be
ulit si
misremembering,
BDD.
having a look. Oh no, they have that. It was their fourth game, but it was with a Nocturne, not with a Viego. Similar idea though. The Nocturne
Delegate.
was there with the
Sobrang
Paranoia.
delegate
You had the
drop ng
Ziggs, the
CFO
Zoe
guys.
combination for that initial burst.
Ang lalambot nila, tas may Bego. May Bego Ziggs. Ay, Bego Zoe.
They have that Nocturne. Of course, Viego I think kind of slots in similarly. But maybe
May Alistar pa, ayok na Alistar yan. Naguguluhin niya lang yung way dito, tsaka yung ano, Caitlyn.
Over on the other side. Usually we are going to see Rek'Sai building Bruiser and Junja
Pero
on the
tignan
starter.
natin.
Not going to be too big of an issue, I don't think. So it'll be interesting to see how
Kailangan
they
dito
play it out.
maka-early
It's
game
really gonna
sila.
be
Pag
about
di sila
Hongyu and
naka-early
Doggo, I think,
game,
avoiding a lot of this
tas
poke,
pantay
avoiding a lot
yung
of the
gold,
damage.
nag-team
And
fight,
Rest and Junja, it's gonna be them
di nila kaya
moving
tong
in
KT.
first, trying to absorb that poke, creating space for these carries for them to be able to have a
Kasi pag
chance.
team fight guys, pantay yung
I
gold.
think Junja's going to have his work cut out from this game.
Lamang yung KT.
Skarner not great into a lot of range.
Champion.
Just the only real target that you're going to have is something like that Sion, but we'll have to see as it starts to go on.
First
Again,
Dragon
I think
wins
it's
the game.
more for CFO
Parang ganun.
about getting Junja access in the early game. He has been such a core part of
Scale
this
champ.
roster
Yun nga
the
yung
entire
ano
time that he's been on it.
kailangan nilang
And unfortunately for
alagaan.
him this game, he has been the target of KT consistently and hasn't
Huwag nila
managed
bigyan
to
ng
find
lead
that
yung
impact.
KT sa
Yeah, I mean,
early.
it's going to be very difficult because there's a lot of tools to actually disrupt what the Skarner is trying to do as well. You're looking at headbutt away, you're looking at satchel, you're looking at trying to drive straight in on the
masyado
Zoe
ni
who can
Doggo.
sleep you. It's very, very difficult, I think, for him to be able to find these effective ganks. And then sure, you can attack topside, but you're ganking a Sion, right? So it's going to be tough.
We've talked at length across the course of the series and on the analyst desk about, you don't say you're excited about KT. You don't get too much
Magic Resist na
motivation
mangyari
when
sa
you're talking
Viego.
about them because sometimes you're worried
that
they're not going to be able to have as much impact
Negative
as they
break
want.
sa top.
2015 knocked out in the
Yan na lang yung
quarterfinals.
yan na lang yung
2018
pantapat
knocked
sa
out in the
ano
quarterfinals.
Sayang
2023 knocked out in the quarterfinals. Often they lose to a team that either loses to the champions or are the champions, but for so long KT have been on the brink of taking
wala
that
na
next
yung
step, and
ano.
it seems like today
Ano ba
here
pantaba sa Sion?
in Shanghai, it is finally their time to go one step further towards the finals.
wala na.
What an impressive performance it would be. The fact that they came into LCK and did not look good.
Rumble. Oo nga, may Rumble pa. Pero parang hindi nagra-Rumble tong top nila no? Hindi ko pa nakita nag-Rumble yan.
Massive upset against
Pero
Gen
yung
G, and
Slugilo
the whole world
engage
takes
yung
notice.
CFO.
And
Agree ka
unfortunately,
ba?
that notice is exactly where KT fans don't want it to go, as KT
Lugi sa
weren't able
engage.
to
Hindi.
continue up on
Sila
that
nga
success,
engage
but
eh.
a 3-0 start here at Worlds,
Ulti ng Bird
and
tsaka
now
ano.
potentially looking to see if they can have a
Tsaka
3-0
ulti
performance here
ng
against CFO.
Turner. Parehong engage yan.
CFO,
Pantay lang. Engage naman ng kabila.
Really feels
Ulti ng
important to
Sion.
create a point of power
Tapos
on
yung
the map.
pasok
Somewhere that
ng
you can really
Alistar.
focus on, that you can play
Pantay lang,
towards.
pantay lang.
Obviously, you do have
Dalawang
these champions like
engager.
the Skarner,
Kaso
and
lang,
like the Bard that really can get active on the map, but you need somewhere to attack. You need
Hindi
somewhere
niya
to go.
nakuha
I
yung
don't think
cannon.
it's going to be top lane, so you really
Galing ni
are looking
BDD
at
dun,
Hongyu and Doggo to try to have that big standout performance. It feels like kind of all the eggs have got to be in those baskets.
I really agree with you. For CFO,
damage lugi sila.
again,
Pick
like
up
an international where
luging-lugi
they
yung
have
CFO
impressed.
guys.
Last time we saw
Malakas
them lose a
pumitas
series
yung
before
comp
Worlds
ng
was back at
KT.
MSI, 2AL.
Zoe
And
kasi
now
ito eh.
they come back
Zoe
into
Viego.
Worlds. They impressed with the victory versus T1. And
Naalala ko,
question is,
Skarner
can
daw
they
next
find that
champ
form
lalabas
again?
sa
It's
Wild
easy
Rift.
of being on an
Hindi ako
absolute
naniniwala sa mga
today.
ganyan eh.
CFO haven't played to the level
Maniniwala ako
perhaps they
dyan
would
pag
have
ano,
wanted, but
official
you
ng
have to give
galing
credit
sa
to
Wild
KT.
Rift
This is
yung
probably the best
announcement
performance
sa
I've
China.
seen from a 3-0 team coming back after the
Wild
break.
Rift China.
As we see a gank in the mid lane. Oh, Spectromore is expecting the
Dito
flash from
mamasta
Hongyu, but he
niya dun.
holds it and is able to walk away. Did TP back into this lane,
Hindi
BDD,
sumild
but
step
both
yun ah.
his flash and his teleport too.
But realistically, like, it's a nothing gank from Cuz, right? He's already fully cleared out. He wanted to move back down towards his bottom side of the map. So a transitional gank that just puts some pressure on towards Hongyu, and we've pretty much seen this consistently, right? The attacks from KT have been trying to get in towards the jungle. Can we burn Junji's flash? Can we put some pressure
Yan lang yung
on
ano
Junji?
nila eh.
Okay, we've done that. Great, let's move Peter mid. Let's
Yan
move
lang
Cuz mid.
yung
Let's try and put some pressure on Hongyu. That mid jungle that we hyped
main
up so
carry
much
nila eh.
coming into today has
Yung
been
Way
under
kasi guys,
constant
poke
threat
hero
from
lang
KT.
yan eh.
Really has, and they're
Pero
gonna try
malakas
to
yung
put
Way
some
pag
pressure on this
nakaka-poke.
top side. Rest
Ang
has the
maayos.
prio. Perfect is up here. You can see BDD is moving though.
Dive
He's
to
already
guys,
heading up
dive
here.
to.
So Perfect just has to delay.
Gotta kill him quickly, Junja!
Ah, di
no,
po ba?
shows impact, but he flashes over. Perfect, who flashes away. BDD has the sleepy trouble bubble, and Junja is gonna take a little nap. Underneath
Pero
the
hindi
tower,
sila
no one's
mamatay
attacking it. The
dito.
paddle star going wide, still damage
Sayang
on
lang yung
Junja.
ano,
He's able to
potential
walk his
na
way
dive.
away. In the end, an exchange of summoners.
That is heartbreaking for CFO Junja, not able to make it happen. And honestly, lucky they managed
Dapat
to
tatanaw
escape
na yung
afterward. Rest
Rek'Sai.
doing a good
Siya
job
muna yung
of
ano,
blocking the paddle star from being able to connect onto the jungler.
airborne niya muna
Did a really
bago
good job to
bungguin.
block that up, but that is heartbreaking. Jinja, such a strong jungler here. That does feel like one of those
Nadali sa
world's
flash, kala ko
worst
sure kill
moments
na.
here. As he tried to flash in for the
Mahirap
unreactable
i-kill yun lalo
Yisrael's
pag may
inbox,
flash.
to be able to
Pero
get
kaya
instant
yun
on the
pag
wall,
ano,
but
Rek'Sai
he just
muna.
flashed past him, and then
Kasi
tried to hit us with a
masyadong
little drift to get back into
expected yung
position, but
gagawin ng
couldn't
ano
quite find
Skarner
it. Might have been the first kill there of the game for
Kaya
them. And it's
nakapag-flash.
one that you feel like you need that momentum coming in, but Someone that they have been able to depend
Oh,
on
hindi
here at
tumama.
Worlds is Doggo. This guy has been having a stellar tournament. We've talked about him a lot, crushing on the Draven games. And he's going to be here on this Caitlyn when his team needs him most. I mean, he's first of all 80 carries, goal difference
Jungle pa
at
naman walang
14.
flash.
Really
Importante
high
pa naman
damage
yan, guys.
percentage. Has been passing the eye test with flying colors.
Tatlong
You need to get him in
LCK.
a winning position.
Parang ganun
'Cause
mangyayari
even these
ngayon.
last two games, when you think about who has been having the best individual performance for CFO,
Malakas
even
Genji
losses, I
ngayon,
feel
guys,
like it
kasi
has
pabor
mostly
sa
been
kanila
him.
yung
He's been trying to find these big moments, trying to
meta
go
ngayon
aggressive.
eh.
You think to the Corki game, you know, flashing
Alay
and
yung
getting that
top.
kill. You think to the Kaisa game, that bot lane fight, you know, going
Ang main
deep
carry
against
yung
those
mid,
carries and getting a
tsaka
couple
ADC.
shutdowns. If they can get him in a winning position,
Ganyan
Doggo
meta
has the
ngayon,
mechanics
guys,
to
eh.
get you across the finish line against teams of this caliber.
Especially against composition
Tank
like
yung
this
top,
with
hindi
KT.
carry
This is one
masyado.
that wants to snowball.
Hindi
Zoe
masyado
went ahead,
carry yung pinipik.
incredibly strong. Zoe went behind, bloody useless. And a very similar story when you come towards the Ziggs, but
Ako sa water pa.
Doctam
Ewan
has
ko
not been
din eh.
missing
Nag-iba
these
laro na
bouncing
Sepo.
bombs.
Tingnan nyo yung
Doggo's
Sepo
hurt.
ngayon,
Yeah,
guys.
and Doctam is level 6,
Sobrang
so
passive.
you have got to be careful. You get hit by anything
AL.
else. The
Oo
ult
nga
might
pala,
just be
may
your
AL
flash
pa.
or your
Malakas din
death.
yan.
So, Doggo gonna have to back off, which means you're gonna be losing some more minions.
Sleepy Trouble bubbled down. Peter looking for the headbutt pulverize. Spectral Maw coming out as well. Will land the stun, but only onto Honkyu. Kaiwing flashed away there on the Bard. Before we saw the trade in the bot side, Honkyu did look for a spiral.
Iba laro ng Sepo ngayon, guys,
Which is the O I exclaimed as we worked our
Passive
way down
sila
towards
ngayon.
But again, KT, pressure mid, opening up for Doctam on bot side, keeping him able to push
Yung mga
in.
last
This is
game
a
nila,
big wave
sobrang
now that
aggressive
Doggo's
nila.
using on this
Lagi,
bottom side, and
kahit maya
it's
gusto nila
because
ng kill eh.
Doctam was able to hit so many of these consistently, and now Peter, how much more do they want to go for?
The Mega Inferno Bomb. Doggo is healthy enough.
Mga
but a
strong
third of
team.
your HP
Hindi,
lost
kahit
just
nga
as you
yung
walk
T1
back to the
katapat
lane.
nila.
Kaiwing
Wala
a
silang
while
pake.
away from getting down here as well.
Exactly, and that early pink ward that they actually placed over by the enemy blue buff, that was Cuz placing this ward after he did that drive-by gank in mid lane. That has been there the whole time.
Ito
CFO
na.
has not been able to clear that out for quite a while, and that's giving them all this information.
Tignan nyo, nakapag-ward yung Alistar sa jungle nila.
As a ward in there, why do you get the goal?
You know what? I respect it. He's like, we're winning a little bit too hard.
Eh, no,
buddy.
nagagawa niya gusto
The
niya,
ward.
nakakaikot
Kaiwing
siya.
has to kill the ward, so he's delayed at getting to the mid lane.
Naiiwan yung Bard sa mapa, oh. Tignan niyo yung Bard, guys.
Cuz has started up the grubs and picked up one of them so
Iwan
far.
sa Alistar.
He took that Chem Drake earlier on. Ginger trying to steal away one of these if he can, but is there a numbers disadvantage right now?
But you still have
Wala
that
ka sa
TP
map control
on
yung KT,
Doctam,
oh.
who's just gone for the reset as well, so potentially going to TP up to this fight.
Kaya
This is
natatakot
risky
gumalaw
for
tong CFO.
Sleep onto Honkyu. BDD doesn't have a huge amount of mana. Grubs begun again by Cars. The flash!
Eh no, tingnan nyo maglaro si Peter, grabe.
Take a medal, take a prize, impaled under the tower, but he takes the enemy mid laner down with him. Rest trying to come in from the
Pero
side.
worth
He's gonna
trade
get
yun,
slept
mid
as
para
well.
sa support.
A perfect nap for
Apa to?
KT to collapse as Doctam takes the kill. Kaiwing chased down.
Tingnan nyo yung
makes it
Ziggs nandito
3.
na, yung Caitlyn nasa base
secures
pa
the
lang.
feats of warfare.
Sobrang iwan
KT
sila sa
have
ikot.
woken up and chosen violence. Picking off members of CFO everywhere on the map, and now they're going to move over towards their prize of these void grubs.
And again, it's one of these
Map control
situations
macro,
where
oh.
CFO is not respecting the map state. You called it out, Rob. Look at
Ganda
the
nung
Caitlyn.
slip
Caitlyn
dun,
is
oh.
locked under her tower down
Mama
here on the
yun.
map. And we have the
Tingnan nyo
Ziggs,
si
who's
Alistar,
going to
guys.
be TPing in,
No hesitation.
adding the
Ayun,
extra
no?
mana. Just
Sarap.
beautiful play there from Peter. Uses the W taxi and then Q flash forward out of that. Sets him up for first blood. Does lose his
Worth na
life, but
trade
Doctam
yun.
is there. They have the extra member. They
Ano
get
palang
the
logic
feats of
ng Rek'Sai
warfare,
top?
And Honkyu's just caught snoozing.
Wait lang,
He is taken down from long range.
Gagi
He was
namatay.
shopping.
They say don't meet your idols. And Honkyu really wishing it
Yung
happened
Honkyu,
on
guys,
this
parang
one.
tilted.
BDD setting that up for the long range play from Doctam. The synergy with this composition from KT is beautiful.
I mean, the sleep into the Ziggs ult from long range. And Honkyu gets taken out, and now insult to injury. More waves going to be lost here. Doctam 3-0, already so far ahead.
Temper Fate Satchel Charge down in the right position though for Doctam to get out, and he satchels away from the cupcake. Took a moment to reposition himself there. Doesn't gobble up that Yordle snap trap from Doggo.
Again, CFO are trying, but they just can't quite get the plays they want.
Sorry,
Doctam able
Inubo.
to escape, push on that bottom side.
Naunahan
More
ng kaba
gold
kasi.
into the hands of BDD, and his goal difference this series has been through the roof.
Ano palang logic
And
ng
now that
Rek'Sai
you're in a
top?
position to continue this pressure, like,
Rek'Sai
you can
top,
move Ziggs
maganda
down
siya
that bottom
ngayon
side of the map
i-lane
to
kasi
take that turret after you push in mid. Start to threaten
pang
now,
tapat
use
niya sa
these
mga tank.
walls at
Yung third
things like
skill
the
niya kasi may
dragon,
true
which are
damage.
just spawned.
Tapos
And
may passive din
the-
siya na
the first
heal.
items are coming through very quickly
So
for
may
KT.
sustain
This
siya
is
sa
really
lane.
looking tough already as Kaiwing Gonna get spotted, and Peter's looking.
The sleep again. Hongkyu's gonna
Ang
have
sakit ng
nightmares.
Zoe.
Collapse from KT.
Wala na.
And BDD
Si
claims
Hongkyu,
his
guys.
second.
The best Zoe in the world, and he's showing us why. Relentless
Boost
pressure
na yung
here.
energy
This
ni
red side
Hongkyu.
draft is not working out at all for CFO.
Parang sabi ni
I mean,
Hongkyu,
look at
okay
the
na
game
to.
over the Scion.
Quarter
They've
final
created
sa Worlds.
80 gold lead for the Rek'Sai at this point. It's just a nothing burger.
Iba nga
And then
pangarap
down
makapasok
in the
ng Worlds
bot
eh.
side, you have this Ziggs
Ito
that was
quarter
picked as an
final.
answer to this Caitlyn, and it has been just excelling throughout the entire game.
And we've talked about it so often for CFO. If Junja and
Ayun,
Hongkyu can
may
be on the
ganap
same
din.
page,
Bakas.
they can do work. But KD have shut them down perfectly. Dogdam flashes away. The headshot's not enough. The Peacemaker doesn't find its mark. Junja flashes finally.
Ay,
Finds
so,
the shutdown. Cuz
eto
now
na
on the back
guys.
foot.
Ay,
Walks
di
away with
naman
that
ng bird yun.
heartbreaker. A magical journey for Junja onto Peter, but a double blast cone will get them to safety.
Nangyari doon, di tinamaan ng Bard.
As Junja might try and collapse on BDD. Ishtal's impact in, catches Peter, slams him into
First
the
time
wall.
na
Rest
na-save
of
sa Worlds.
CFO trying to collapse, but there's the trample stun. A good impact
Uy,
through the
nahuli
wall.
si Cuz.
Cuz able to flash
Kaso
away
walang
asleep
follow-up.
onto that Skarner. Paddle Star just short of connecting.
Ito yung CFO
Finally
na
gets down on
hinihintay
BDD.
ko,
Peter
guys.
falling
Ayun,
low.
oh.
Hongkyu finds the
Aggressive,
kill.
oh.
BDD still dashing
Diba?
forward with the portal. Jumps in the end. CFO will back away with 2.
The Flying Oysters are not done yet. They knew that that was their moment
Bakas,
where they could put some
naisip
more
din
pressure.
sila
But
ulit.
Hongkyu needs to be careful. So Trouble Bubble doesn't land. I thought BDD might go for the flash Trouble Bubble there.
Possible ba na
KT
makatapat
were
T1 or
playing
Genji
very
itong
aggressively
KT?
in that moment. I mean,
Check ko yung bracket.
CFO pushed them out, but KT is
Bracket
like, you know, we're
kasi
just gonna
ito eh.
keep scrapping. They didn't want to back off to the tower. They didn't want to cede that jungle camp, so they just kept fighting, and CFO able to get something back here. But
Bracket
again,
to guys, wait
Dogtown
lang.
just pushing through mid lane constantly. Rest has been a constant up in this top lane, has been very annoying to deal with for Perfect. It is a frustrating matchup. You're locked under your tower, but Sion is still getting what Sion needs. When we look back one more time, as they had to expend so much to take down Dogtown.
Yeah, the fact that he barely escapes here.
Oh,
means that then
Bulusig, so.
as you say Junja forced to flash to make sure that he can get the kill. Just
Fuck.
pixel on towards that health bar. And at this stage, it's the right call from CFO. Just throw everything in the kitchen sink and see what you can get. And KT, they do stick around a bit too long. They're hoping they can play this slow with BDD having the lead that he has. But overextending that
Ito yung
little bit too
bracket.
far actually gives the numbers advantage.
Genji,
with CFO
Genji makakatapat
that
ng
moment
KT
to
pag
find some
nanalo
kills.
sila dito.
Exactly, and I mean, even with BDD around, you're still down a member. Dogtown
T1,
is dead. It's still a
AL kalaban
4v3,
nila.
and you're fighting
Mga
it
kalaban nila
without the
next
ultimates
G2
on Cuz, without
or
the ultimate on Peter with lower
Top
health
Esports.
bars, so it was definitely a very aggressive look there from KT. Wanted to try to defend.
Kawawa yung T1 sa taas. Ay, hindi. Actually, pabor sa T1 to eh.
You have to feel like they're
Sila
for
yung
CFO.
kryptonite ng
Unfortunately,
ano eh,
the kills
China
going to
eh.
Skarner is not what you want
Puro
to see.
China katapat ng T1 sa taas. Sa baba naman puro LCK.
Who's been the face of this league for so many years. KT
Possible na China versus Korea na naman to sa final.
Going to go back into the rest of the team. Cuz getting slowed by it as well, but the Severing Bolt not enough to kill off the cow.
Unless lasunin ng G2 yung ano. Lasunin ng G2 yung anong team to? Lasunin ng G2 yung Top Esports. Milagro na lang.
And also just gives them this vision control in this top side if they want to play aggressive, waiting on that push from Hongkyu in the top side, because you've got Herald in 30 seconds, so CFO looking to see if they can capitalize on it.
Yan yung maganda laban guys, T1 ano, T1 AL. Ilalive ko yan. Gandang laban yan guys. Sana yung T1 magising na sila ngayon.
Finish that redemption, as has
Hindi nakaraan, nangangapa pa sila eh.
In terms of awarding advantage, it's a small one for CFO.
You got push in bot side and the opportunity to try and TP rest in.
Iba laro ng T1 pag sa Omsim. Tapos China kalaban.
Couldn't get deep vision. Now you've got KT.
Ano nga sila eh, di ba? Tawag nga sa kanila LCK Slayer. Tignan nyo guys, lamang Rek'Sai sa Sion. Pang tapat sa Sion din tong ano eh, Rek'Sai. Eh no, sakit to. Tignan nyo yung third skill niyan, may true damage.
To try to be able to take control, but Cuz and Peter have just been moving around here constantly. You know, BDD or Dogtown gets push, then they move
Bukod sa
over as
Ebisan ka pa
well.
naka-live, TikTok,
Non-stop,
tsaka
just fighting over this vision. It's so hard
Twitch.
to fight against the Zoe Ziggs
Tapos
if you do not
YT.
know where they are.
Especially when double Hex Tech Gunblade completed. That's so much burst damage if you can hit both of those
Ibang iba talaga laro ng
on
T1 guys
towards
pag final.
lockdown targets, and that's exactly what KT are
Di
looking to
trip
do.
ni
Just
Guma
fishing for
mag-zigs.
some of these bubbles on the top side.
6 din yan si Guma. Magaling mag-zigs yun.
Gonna take it slow, push out the waves, and then amass onto this objective.
Pero syempre, pag naka-zig siya, expected nyo hindi siya carry. Taga-poke lang siya. Hindi siya taga-clean up.
Kind of act just like a paddle star.
Zig's ult too. I mean,
that's my worry.
That's kind of the real dream. Is you hit that on a carry, you press R, they're either dead or they leave the fight, right? Like there's no continuing in the fight as Doggo. And, you know, in that situation, if they're going to commit that, Kaiwing is going to have to be really fast with almost defensive Bard ults, right? Because if to start off the fight, one of your carries gets hit by a sleep and Ziggs is going to throw out his ult, you have got to be right there to try to deny it. But that takes really quick reactions.
And Herald no longer the target for either of these two teams as KT set up vision around the Drake. Will be
kung nalaban sila, teka lang mainit to Ilang buhay, ilang buhay. 4K. Pasok na yung scanner guys. Ganda ng ulti ng Bird. Nice, nakuha. Panalo si CFO guys. Namatay agad Bego. Panalo nga guys. Fully Ziggs. Ito yung CFO na inabangan ko guys. Nice. Okay na yun, okay na yun.
KT's poke is exceptional.
Ay, dadive sila. Teka lang ha.
He slept. Satchel Chud's gonna knock him back. Decimating smash there as well. Rest used the tunnel. He flashes back in.
Grabe yun.
Just slices them where they stand. He'll pay for it with his life. In the end, CFO turn their eyes towards the Herald.
Exactly. They're gonna be able to use that pressure to go over towards the Herald.
Yan yung aggressive CFO na tumalo. Oo nga eh. Ito hinihintay ko eh.
It is so oppressive
Nagising na sila guys.
But when the spells don't land, you have no consistent damage whatsoever. And watch BDD in this fight.
Yung Bego nag-focus masyado sa Dragon eh. Ay no, tingnan yung Bego guys.
But everything misses. And when those first round of spells do miss, Junja flashes in, gets the spike.
Naultihan pa ng Skarner.
Cannot hurt the front line whatsoever. The carries are
kailan
untouched on
T1
the
sa
CFO
Friday.
side. And once CFO are in the mix, they can't be stopped.
And that's the big one, is as soon as you get this Skarner into place, as soon as this Rek'Sai can actually get onto the targets,
kasi tumama yung slip ni BDD kanina sa Caitlyn eh, sa taas.
KT don't let them
kung tumama yun, mapopoke niya yun eh. Yung watch party sa kanila.
And just maybe give CFO that hope. Control the area, control the objectives, but Doggo...
Doggo has the flash and has to use it. Gets himself to safety. KT's still looking for a little bit more. Importantly, most of the gold in that last fight for CFO, who have evened out the total gold in the game, did go to their jungler and to their top laner. Rek'Sai can do a lot of damage. Titanic Hydra complete. Tunneler as well, building up to more of those physical damage items, but it's not as much as you would like.
But for me, it's less about the gold, it's about the map control.
Sure.
Because that's really what CFO need. When you're getting down these turrets, it doesn't give KT as much access to the map, and you can make plays like this.
It
does mean the satchel can't be used on the tower.
But it also, again, it's about getting this deeper vision. So as KT look to contest objectives, they're not throwing these like long-range bubbles through the walls that can then retreat, fall back step by step, and you have to constantly try and fight for that control back over the objective.
Guys,
if you
naging
can
kalmado na. Hindi na po kampante maglaro. Kanina lagi siya namamatay.
That's not what KT want to do.
I mean, it's just kind of such an interesting set of compositions, right? Because KT's comp really is all or nothing, right? You hit everything, you hit that sleep into the Mega Inferno Bomb, all of a sudden CFO can do nothing. You miss all those early spells and get hard engaged on, all of a sudden you're not really putting out any pressure either on that front line, and Cuz is 1.3k gold behind. This Viego really needs that first reset, and there's not any like point and click. You're not paired with a Syndra, an Annie, an Ahri, anything like that. So it's again, it's just everything is, does your poke click?
Oh my god. Yung pala yung combo nila. Patay din Skarner. Nakapag-ult. Pero sabog sila. Do something, Rek'Sai. Dito sila talo sa poke. Grabe poke ng KT guys. Another sleep na naman. Patay na 6 to. Nice.
Is not done yet.
Kaso si Jessica's
breaker a stake through the heart of CFO as KT win out the fight.
It's a taster of what CFO could have, but it's KT who are once again cooking CFO over an open pit. The amount of gold and nourishment they're getting in this roster is insane right now.
I mean, we just got to see what the two different fights look like. The abilities hit, and there is not a lot
Kailangan
to do.
engage agad sila eh. Pag di nila in-engage, matutunaw sila eh, no?
Into the paddle star, everything timed perfectly there. We're going to call it the Mega Inferno Bubble. That was looking clean. And with him gone already, BDD, he's looking like he's got an aimbot. He's just point and click.
Peter caught with a
Yan, kailangan unahan nyo muna.
Might be going golden, but he is going to get skewered by CFO. The Otacon next TP is coming out.
Panalo sila pag inuunahan nila eh.
TP out from Perfect as well as KT are going to call for a fight of their own.
You've got to wait for BDD. This
will
be so far away. The ultimates are flying, but Otacon is going down.
Honku already down to half HP. Perfect with the decimating.
The
Otacon should be secured.
Nakuha.
They get it. The sleep lands, but only onto rest.
Bounce namin.
Will KT continue to chase, or will they accept that this fight is not for them?
Fantastic play from CFO. They get the pick and they just force their hand, immediately start the Otacon, rush it down. Don't allow KT to get set up. KT's comp is so weak when they're late to the fight.
And this is the
may dragon pa pala, no?
CFO. They don't want to give up the area. Dragon's there.
Oh, the damage onto Honku, spiraling despair though.
Honku. Nice, namatay Zoe. Kaso yung Kego naka-reset.
He possesses that way, and the chase continues. Dives across the wall.
Way lang yung hero niya.
Trying to retreat. Dogdam looking for that satchel.
Asip nila, ubos tong ano, KT.
Junja falls, and now
hindi
the
jungle yun na sana silang ano.
Against the wall, and Kaiwing and Doggo leave him. The KT Wolves, they'll get the kills. They'll clean it out, and will they turn their eyes towards the Drake? They'll do that and take mid.
CFO tried to salvage the play with Doggo and Rest running as fast as they could, but it's KT who are pouncing on Junja and finding the kills they need to turn the play back.
I mean, it feels like it was just 2 or 3 minutes ago that we were talking about Cuz being
yung Zoe.
7 kills in a row, and
no?
now is up nearly 2K on this Viego. He
kailangan
is
talaga mauna sila mag-engage.
Has the entire LDR purchased up. They just moved towards Soul Point as well.
Turn around
this play to start it off though was really nice from
Nag-iwalay sila eh. Malakas sila pag sama-sama eh, no? Tumalon yung bird dun.
You got the 90 caliber net hitting him, takes him down with that headshot. But Cuz is such a problem. We
wala silang carry, dalawa lang sila dyan.
Doesn't feel like they have that anymore.
Honku's
the timing!
Ako si Honku. Wala, ginagawa mo.
As Honku takes a drive to his demise, and now KT can look for more. BDD with a paddle star doesn't quite clip.
Kala niya ata mababasag niya.
Perfect timing on that decimating smash was just that. What a beautiful play. Catches Honku as he pops out of the Herald there. Peter follows up. That's the carry down.
Pero ang call doon, iti-trade niya yung buhay niya sa tower.
Honku thought maybe he could get it, but the tower doesn't even fall off the back of it. It is a stiff breeze away from falling. But KT, when CFO find their hope, they snuff it out so fast.
Yeah, and the pedal difference is pretty significant, though.
Tignan nyo yung graph, guys, oh. Tamang na CFO kanino.
As far as adaptive stats.
Nakabawi na.
The gold lead lies to you a little bit, but still, it is KT getting further and further ahead, nearly 4,000 gold up. 3.5 minutes until CFO is going to have to try to make their last stand. It really feels like it's all about the setup at the Dragon, because if KT are there first, it feels almost impossible to walk in. But likewise, if CFO are there first and you're trying to walk through a way, you're trying to walk through this trap line, the poke is never going to come. So it's all about who can get that setup, who can control vision. And right now it's been KT with the pushing waves, and it's them getting the much easier setup.
BDD pushing in this top side. On his signature pick, this Zoe lost on it back in 2022. Has only played it once since then, but averages about 75% win rate on the champ all time. So often we see KT having a band against them. He'll be looking like the last couple of fights have gone well. Couple of good spiraling despairs. I don't think he's had a series where he would say he's shone, but he can do it. We have seen him so many times come back from poor series, from poor games, and within that same game actually accelerate himself to victory.
And the spiraling despairs have been so crucial, not only for getting some of these picks, but getting those slows are crucial to enabling Junja and Rest to get into these fights. So if you can find them, that can be the difference maker, that little bit of a slow that enables CFO to close the gap.
And we got to remember, KT, this team, that is synonymous with heartbreak, that is synonymous with these devastating losses, is now potentially one fight away from sealing the deal on their first ever World Semifinals. BDD, the only player on the team to ever make World Semis, and they're looking for a pick on Rest.
Just trying to tunnel away, but Peter uses the minion line to try and get himself towards it. There's the knockup, there's the drowsy, and there's Rest. Sent to a coffin. The CFO will use this time to push in the mid lane though, take a tower of their own, can chase forward a little bit further. They do have cannon minion here, acing the hole onto Dogtown. Now they retreat because KT are collapsing.
But you still have BDD pushing to that bottom side. So
pero kaya nila i-turn to walang Zoe. Ang magandang ulti lang. Ayun na nga. Sayang di niya nahuli. Aray! Ang sakit na ng Ziggs. Naiwan yung corner pa lang.
BDD gets Honku, and now KT can smell their victory. BDD
arrives. Namatay yung Bigo. Nakapag-ulti out.
Is next on the table here. They are crushing this fight. CFO got picked off in the side lane, tried to force their hand, but KT make the collapse happen. And not only do they get that, they got the tier 2 bot, they get the Baron, they get everything.
And on this composition that feels like it is unique to KT, this Zoe and Ziggs, they're hoping they can burst it down. They should be able to do so, as Rest was there. But KT, this is beautiful. And CFO have
kaya sana nila to kung nahuli yung Bego. Nakapag-ulti out kasi. Ayun o, natulak ng Alistar. CFO na lang LCP galing ng Alistar dun. Niligtas niya yung Bego.
Beautiful player of the series, man. He headbutts away the impaling Junja so it doesn't connect, and then Cuz can rejoin the fight. It's just been sublime from him every game.
I mean, he's absolutely smurfing. That Ziggs ult had to be 3,000 plus damage between the 3 people that it hit. Like, that was crazy. BDD arrives, snipes the other one. He's got death cap completed now. 2 seconds until the potential last stand here of CFO. Can Junja come up with another hero steal?
Rest is in the top lane, pushing in for that tier 2. Does have the teleport and will use it. The Drake down to 9,000. BDD looking to see if he can find a sleepy
laban na naman sila.
Lands it onto Rest. He can't join the fight. Tempered Fate on the backline. Paddle Star.
Uy, dito mama.
Dragon down to 4K. As KT look for the soul and knock back onto Junja. And again, it's Peter who keeps the enemy jungler at bay. Rest dives in, but the rest of his team are distracted by the cow.
Wala na,
GG
na.
Chased in with an unstoppable onslaught. And if that's not a name for how KT have played this series, I don't know what is. Unstoppable from KT as they march down CFO and look for the semis.
No one expected KC to be one of the teams that could push themselves forward, but at semi-finals in their eyes,
pag-isa lagi Rek'Sai, Nasa-zone sila ng Alistar Ano to? Support gap. Huge support gap tsaka mid. Pero okay na yan, good run pa rin sa CFO yan. Quarterfinals sa Worlds. Iba nga, makapasok ng Worlds
But watch as KT take the Nexus towers, the Nexus next, the
KT
coaster keeps on climbing. For the first time in history, KT are going to semis.
And what an incredible run it has been for KT. Make it 7 wins in a row at Worlds 2025. Yet to drop a game.
Mas okay na rin yan KT nalalason.
And who'd have thought Peter would be the one stepping up so
well played
much
pa rin
in a
sa
series
CFO.
like this.
Good run yan. Quarterfinals, potik yan. First time sa Worlds. Ang dami nilang tinalo.
Alongside members like BDD. What an impeccable
masarap pa rin tulog ng mga yan.
Support player. And what a moment for KT fans around the world. Semi-finals for this roster. And now
KT versus Genji, guys.
What is the limit for them?
Teka lang What time laban ng T1? Dito yung schedule
Taking victories against
3 PM naman lagi yung start Matic 3 PM din. Na Friday guys, 3 PM. Hindi ko na ilalive yung bukas. Mag-wild direct na lang ako bukas.
What a performance overall from CFO.
ending a drought a decade long.
CFO beats T1, dami nilang napatunayan, pwede na yan.
But Desk, is it time to get excited yet? Come on!
Kailan T1 versus AL? Friday, guys.
I think it's finally time to say it. Oh my god. The first time in the history of the organization, KT Rolster make it to semifinals. Emily, are you excited?
Oh my gosh. I don't even want to say it. I was just thinking of all of those amazingly nice KT fans.
Yun na guys, GG's na ako.
That I watched this team
Bukas
lose
mag-wild
to
trip ako,
IG.
3 PM.
There are some
Mamaya,
fans and they're
mamayang
watching
gabi
now because I
mag-HOK ako.
immediately just
Mga
thought of
9.
them and how happy they would be.
Mukhang
They
KT
are
versus
looking
T1.
so
Parang ganun.
good while doing it.
Kailangan ng T1 i-activate yung kryptonite nila. Kasi
Oh my gosh.
puro Chinese team kalaban nila.
He was subbed out during
Dami
the
sponsor
year.
papasok
Thinking
sa
about the
CFO.
days
Laki
he was
ng
playing
achievement
at
nila,
Noshim
Sol.
until
Oo,
the
sobrang
performance
dami
he put
niyan.
out today. Peter, go
Tignan nyo
take
next year,
performance
ang
this
dami
series.
ng mga
He was
pangalan
so
dyan sa
good,
jersey
and this
nila.
is his first
CFO.
international. This is his first time on a plane. And he's always just so
Tapos feeling ko,
happy to be here. Again,
si
if you haven't
Dogo,
seen
yung
any of the
ADC
interviews that
nila,
the LCK English broadcast has done with him,
may
he's
potential
always
na baka may
so
kumuha
happy,
dyan.
so fun. And he showed up massively today. He was such a huge part of how
Grabe siya
KT
maglaro eh. Kahit
were able
talo
to get
sila sa
ahead
game,
in
ang ganda
these
ng
early
laro niya eh.
games, which we hadn't seen as much from them at this tournament or across Split 3.
One player that we need
Parang
to
siya yung
highlight
star player
once
sa
again,
kanila
he
eh.
has
Si,
been the
si Dogo.
backbone of this team all year long. It is BDD once again. He is the Oppo player of the series with his
7-0. Ang lakas ng KT ngayon, no?
in game 3.
Pabor sa kanila yung ano eh, yung
So
meta eh.
close between BDD and Peter because they both were absolute stars today. The reason why I think we ended up siding with BDD was
Sige na guys,
this
GG's
zone
na.
performance.